Okay, welcome back. Sorry guys, we kind of rushed into this series. We didn't realize it'd be ready so soon, but I guess that last series timed out pretty darn perfectly for this. This is one of the last matches today. It's worth noting these players have already qualified, and at this point they're playing for seeding and positioning going up into the matches being played out on the 30th. So we've seen the player on the left here quite a bit, so I will start by introducing the player on the right. Top right corner of Overgrowth from Renegades of Hell. I've actually had some interactions with these guys in the past. Pretty cool team. It's the Red Terran, Jarppi.
In the bottom left has the blue Terror, and it is IVD's Ruff.
So small shout out to Renegades of Hell if any Renegades of Hell fans / teammates are watching right now. I had a small interaction with them like 2.5 years ago for a team league we had run. I gotta say, Renegades of Hell, I don't know if it's the same manager as it was back then. They were one of the easiest teams to work with and one of the most compliant when it came to setting match dates. So I've really got a good memory of them in my mind.
That's good.
Oh,
Ruff.
Ruff. Earlier guess, scouting for the proxies.
Yeah. It's always possible he's gonna throw out that Ghost Academy rush. I mean, these players, more likely than not, were not watching because they were playing their own games. So
The thing is, though, again, like if this is your first time seeing either of these players, guys, I don't know a lot about Jarppi. I can't speak to his strengths and weaknesses, but I can tell you Ruff plays a little bit different, a little bit weird, and pretty much anything but standard. 3 times today on Overgrowth, and 3 times we've seen him set up for nuke pushes. He's only done it once, and it did work out in a victory for him. So coming up against Jarppi, I don't know if that's necessarily what he has planned. The factory's coming down. And a big part of this kind of relies upon like what he sees right now. So with nothing here at the front of the ramp, honestly, this would be a big deterrent to go nukes. Like you probably should not upon seeing no wall off combined with no low ground buildings whatsoever.
with no wall off and no low ground buildings, you should just go for the Hellions that he's always been doing. I mean, more so than anything, like everything that we've noticed, he has included Banshees and nukes. Just throwing it out there. But it's really been about the Hellions. His Hellion control, his decision to go ahead and attack where most of the people may have been too shy. So not walling off against this player almost proves that Jarppi was not watching the fast games.
Well, this is going to sting a little bit. He has got a couple Marines at the top of the ramp, but he's going to chase this SCV out first.
Oh, the SCV is going to try and block it.
Again, that worst feeling in the world when you see him throw down like a supply depot underneath your floating buildings. But okay, that's been cleared out. Barracks is floating across the map. He's got the wall up at home. Ruff is officially safe against small amounts of aggression. But Starport
right.
over here, not going to be for Ghosts. Kind of, like I said, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to do it. But you're right. The Hellions, I think, are going to be the focal point of this. This will probably... I don't know. He can do one gas Banshee because it's kind of delayed like this, but it's just, I don't know, not the most efficient way to do it.
I think he's just gonna go for, well, okay, we called it wrong last time, so let's wait and see. Jarppi did scout a atypical location for proxy starport down in the bottom right. Unfortunately, the net's got the other typical location, so we'll not see this coming.
Again, with the SCVs on the front line for the repair. It's such a subtle thing, but I really do enjoy watching it.
Yeah, and of course the other one, the SCV that was building the proxy, comes out and helps repair too. It's a Viking, by the way. Interesting. You might assume that Jarppi's going for a Banshee, and that's going to really help him out, as well as if it lands, it's good DPS too. Ooh!
That Widow Mine hit, though, that was a
hits.
really nice connect. But still, gets a good angle on top of the Marines. And while he might lose a couple of the Hellions initially, his one Marine is actually doing a lot of consistent damage behind this.
These SCVs with the control doing some serious work.
Right?
But was that Widow Mine just barely enough to make sure that snowball effect is not started for Ruff?
I mean, Ruff's not going to want to burn a scan on that, but that's going to constantly interact with anything that tries to come up that ramp. If he hugs the top side of it, it's even in range of it, so...
Oh, that Hellion's going to get it.
Oh, SCV. Psych!
Surprising. Sometimes Widow Mines just choose the worst targets.
They really do. But at the moment, like, you know, there's a couple Marines here. Great, they're going to chase off the Viking, but he keeps it alive so he can repair that. Oh god, pulling SCVs into Hellions is never a choice you want to have to make, but sometimes you're forced to. And so far...
Yeah, very good defense. I think the best that we've seen. The thing is, though, is that we've seen the last player who played Soldier, I believe, had okay defense, but then he decided to push out, and that's when Ruff did the damage.
These Widow Mines are seriously carrying him through this defense hardcore. Ruff has been shut down with his aggression so far, and it's worth noting, guys, for all of that, he only killed 4 SCVs.
Yeah. He has a proxy starport he's got to lift up and go back home. I think he's actually going to make a Banshees from, which is funny, but...
I was going to say, a normal player would lift off and go back home. Another Hellion goes down. This is... I hate... This is one of the few times you won't hear me giggling at a pun, but this is so rough for him because the damage he's taken compared to the damage he's done, insignificant. The only thing he really has going for him is the fact that his opponent did not already make a command center. If he had already been able to expand, if he already had an orbital made, Ruff would be really far behind right now.
On the flip side, though, Jarppi only got one Banshee. Ruff just put down 3 missile turrets because he was afraid of a Banshee, and Jarppi's not even going that much into it. He's getting his own Raven, which ensures that Ruff's Banshee not nearly as effective as someone, you know, against someone who's going nothing but Banshees themselves.
I really like Hellions, I really do. If you guys ever see Mech Wars, a lot of times it's primarily Hellions, like seriously like 9 out of 10 Hellions for one Viking type thing. But I don't know. They're gonna continue to do decently against non-combat shielded, non-stim Marines, but the second stim or medevacs start getting out, the Hellions become less and less effective.
These Widowmines are making a trek across the map, and I'm not so sure why. They seem to be doing so well in the defense.
I think this was heading towards the natural, like block out physically and snipe off around the bottom of the ramp to scout when Ruff moves out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ruff moved back to try and take care of him anyways, but this is also, I don't know if I like it because he just lost 2 Hellions. He doesn't have the cat attack. He's gonna clean him up, yeah, but
I mean, even burning a scan for 2 Widowmines is still kind of costly.
Yeah, and I believe that Jarppi still has a 3rd one.
It's worth noting too that those Widowmines each had about 4 kills. So I mean,
whoa, 3 starports in total.
Oh, that's rough. 3-port Banshee for you, but 1 base. If he had the second gas mining forever go, this would be a great move. But he doesn't have the gas to produce, I think, even 2 ports.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can't tell if Ruff has these plans built out. Or
he's just gonna YOLO's it.
Yeah, he YOLO's it. This just is either like a YOLO move or he messed up his build because that gas should have been done sooner.
Well, Ruff.
Alright, so that scan sees nothing.
I was
nothing
gonna say,
important anyways.
It just misses the edge of that other starport too, so I mean, it actually does
you could assume that it was the one that was proxied.
Oh boy.
So he still doesn't know that was a proxy, does he? Like,
okay, so hang on. This might not actually be for 3-port Banshee as a joke. I think he might just start producing a lot of Vikings for the time being, or initially out of this first one, obviously the reactors. But this will actually work out pretty well because Vikings do have pretty good DPS, and we got to keep in mind Jarppi doesn't have a very, I don't know, amazing army. Like he's got a pretty nice setup here for defense, but nothing he can really push with. Not even to landed Vikings, sadly enough.
I have not only maybe cast a few games, also played a few games against Terrans that do this weird thing where they go for almost nothing but air, but since they have dominant air control, they also go for a lot of Banshees. Yep. And I'm always wondering what the heck are they doing, and I guess they watch a lot of Ruff. No, it's gonna go for a lot of Vikings and a lot of Banshees.
Well, to reference some of the weekly cups we see on a regular basis, go for StarCraft not too long ago, a semifinals match, Lily Canine, Terran player versus Revenge, Korean Terran player. Lily Canine 2 of that series, and he did something very similar to this, where you're right, you try and get that air dominance. I mean, Marines are going to be okay, but the idea is the Hellions, they'll die to kill enough Marines so that the Banshees can clean up everything else.
Or they wait long enough that you just have so many Banshees, because they're thinking, oh, he's going mech, let me go ahead and produce a lot of Marauders. That's not a lot of Marines. If he was going Marine tank, there's no amount of Banshees that can take care of that, but...
Right, it's worth noting too. I mean, it's not a big deal, but this is again part of why a Marine tank is so superior to Marauder Marines and tanks. I mean, it's just the Marauders are so good at sniping off tanks. That's really all they're good for.
Yeah, well, the key problem really is that Ruff really isn't going for the stereotypical mech that Marauders are good against.
Exactly.
He's going for the one type of mech that they aren't.
And I scans a lot of Vikings. All right,
which is common. You know, 1 Banshee because you always get a Banshee.
But this is also why we see players like I've seen Daishi do this too, where you hide the Viking count. It might not seem like it's worth hiding a Viking count, but again, it keeps your opponent from making a lot of anti-air themselves.
Oh, there was a Banshee up in the proxy that did a lot of damage to the natural. Well, no, actually, he just
3 kills. Yeah, he just pulled the SCVs aside, but he did kill the gas, which is worth noting. Terran player, of course, right now is a little bit gas starved. Doesn't quite have the production to deal with a lot, but Banshee is going to die, and he finds the proxy. Huzzah!
That's a good point. That has gone unscouted until now. You can throw on some missile turrets, or the auto turrets, or just land the Viking.
Well, the gun is not exactly the scariest thing on the Gatling turret, but is that Viking kind of like leaning into the ledge?
Yes.
That looks really weird.
Well, Ruff unfortunately loses one of his starports, but luckily he has 2 other ones, so big deal.
Well, actually, it is kind of a big deal, though, because that was the other Tech Lab one. This one was reactored. He just swapped that off with the factory, so now he can start producing 2 Banshees at a time, but otherwise he would have been limited. Additionally, I don't think he's got enough Vikings to have that air, like, just absolute dominance. He's going to have control, but he's not going to dominate the skies by any means. Here we are, forced out of the fight, though. I don't know, he kind of goes into this a little bit earlier. Still a lot of Marines left after the Hellions go down, but as these Marines start thinning out, there's no anti-air left.
Whoa,
But that Seeker Missile! That Seeker Missile, though! Oh my god!
Where did that even come from?
I didn't hear the beep, 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 beep. I didn't see the Raven throw it down, but...
I think it was a Raven with Jarppi's army.
Well, there was. I mean, he's had the Raven for the whole game. I just didn't see it. Like, what did it do? Go in melee range and then back away? Whatever the case may be, and that just shut Ruff down 100%. And quite frankly, I would almost feel Ruff's out of the game at this point. He's got no upgrades going for him. He's got Cloak, which has been absolutely countered by just having a Raven in existence.
Yo. I need to go back and watch that replay because
I didn't see it.
Obviously didn't see it either, or else he would have split.
I legit didn't see that. I didn't hear it.
I'm wondering if it actually even went off. Like, what if that's just a bug? I don't know.
No,
Maybe
I
the
don't.
viewers will tell us and confirm.
I think it's gonna be that thing where like I can't hear scans sometimes.
Well, I didn't see it either. Ruff didn't see it either. I don't know. Either way,
Heat of battle. Heat of battle.
That Banshee just went from like 5 to 0. Like there wasn't even like corpses. Jesus. All right.
There's only 2 Marines in there, worth noting. There's a missile turret in the back too. So Ruff, I mean, he sees his opponents on 3 bases. There's no way he feels comfortable at this point. Blue Flame is coming up, but look at the army. Look how many Marauders and tanks are here. Blue Flame is going to get no benefit whatsoever. I mean, I guess it'll kill 4 Marines a little faster.
As far as this army goes, Ruff's Banshee making still works out.
That's true. That is true. He needs to bring these other 2 back home pretty quickly. There's not going to be a hero Seeker Missile this time.
Well, I thought he still had that Raven. I guess he left it at home. Is he not going to push into that army? Like, I know you don't have enough Marines to take on the Banshees, but you can... I don't know. But you can still take down the command center. You just have so much more army than Ruff.
Well, Ruff is looking to take his own 3rd, building it on location, still incredibly far behind. Worker count also dipped quite significantly, mostly not because he's lost any, more so because, well, he's been cutting to make these Banshees and Hellions. I think at this point, too, like, even with that weird push we just saw where the Seeker Missile was like the heroic thing to save the game, if there had been continued 3-port Banshee production, it may not have come down to that.
No! Oh, that's Jarppi's. I thought Ruff was going up to 6 starports, and I'm like, you can't even afford that. What are you doing?
How do you counter 3 ports? With your own 3 ports!
Alright. So Jarppi, he's getting a 4th right now, which means that he will be able to afford this, and that's kind of what happens in usual TVTs, Mac versus Bio. The Bio player kind of goes along with it with Bio, then eventually gets so much money that he can also win the air war, so he does that.
You're never going to have a regular game, though. And if this is a base trade, I don't think Ruff can win. These are Hellions. Granted, can become Hellbats, but...
Let's not forget about that. I'm surprised that he hasn't turned him into it yet.
Yeah, they do way more damage.
He should right now.
Oh my god. Well, the Banshee's are going to just wreck everything. 2 volleys kills like a Thor. Well, if they were focus fired instead of half shooting middle of nowhere. But yeah, as we see, his natural base has been wrecked. Compromised back at home. This is pretty much Ruff saying abandoned ship already. He's lifted up the command center, trying to get out of dodge. All the SUVs were slaughtered, though. Now, technically, if given the right amount of time, he could kill all the production of his opponent as well. But instead decides to dive for the command center. And actually lifts everything because there's not a lot of Vikings left. Oh my god, Topic Up! I suggested it earlier! The morning in Acer Team Story Cup, it's gonna happen! Let's just move all our production over here.
And move it somewhere else.
Right? Oh my god, this is actually gonna work out pretty fantastically. For Ruff, though, he's got a couple of orbitals he's floating. He's trying to... I think he's confident they can win the game through an army fight, but I'm not. 24 Marines is going to be really hard to deal with, even with Blue Flame Hellions.
What could have happened, had Ruff saved enough energy on those Banshees, is that the Cloak could have won him this game, because the orbitals are not landed.
If he picks off the...
Raven, the Raven has to die.
Oh no, the Banshee's going to die to the bunker, though. bleeding out such preciously critical units. 2 Vikings over here on the right side in the middle of nowhere. Ruff is not in a good spot. Unit County Station is just, I mean, you don't even know anything about StarCraft 2, guys. There's 104 supply for a player who has no bases, and there's a 37 supply for a player who has no bases. You tell me how this pans out.
I was trying to think of a situation where Ruff could win via tiebreaker, but Jarppi's already reduced all his starports and Vikings.
Where's Mr. X Tackle? If Mr. X Tackle is not in this game, can someone screenshot right now and go like tweet at him? He's gonna love this. Look at this. There's 7 starports with no add-ons up here in the top left corner of the map. They're actually gonna work out fantastically. Seeker Missile gonna kill a Banshee. Oh my god, this is so ridiculous. He's actually gonna win the air fight. He's got more Vikings.
This is cray-cray.
Yeah, that's GG. Jarppi is gonna snatch game number 1 away from Ruff.
He just slapped down everything Ruff was trying to do. He was like Widow Mines.
Those Widow Mines were so good. Like I can't so much of this game comes back to hinging on those Widow Mines, getting the connections they did, stopping the Hellions the way they did.
I generally want to go back into that replay, you know, take command and see what would happen had that Secret Missile not gone off. Would the Banshees have been enough to just cause enough damage to bring Ruff back into this game? Because he was always 50 supply behind.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, that was a really cool move, and that was a big critical part of the game. Don't get me wrong. But I kind of feel like he just dedicated too much to the initial attack.
Telling you, man, if you don't expect this happening, those Banshees can be like, you know, your worst enemy. You don't have enough Marines in the first place. They can stop your production because there's suddenly 6 of them, and you're like, God, why?
Well, you know, the thing too, we're gonna hop into a small commercial break, guys. I'll keep this one short, provided there's no delays, but it's worth noting, like, Ruff doesn't have to win this by any means. He's already qualified. So, same goes for Jarppi, of course. They both made it to this top 4 stage, so they're both good to go. But of course, seeding is going to be very important moving towards the group stages that conclude the brackets. Plus, it's kind of cool to see Jarppi take a victory there. Jarppi is... what race is this? What's that flag?
Aaron?
Chile! He's from Chile!
Oh. I could have sworn he said what race he was.
Well, that's what I meant, like Chilean. Sorry.
Oh, okay. You got me.
Yeah, that's right, I got you. In your face! How stupid do you feel right now?
Not really that stupid.
Should change your name from Zombie Grove to Stupid Grove.
You could have done so much more clever things.
I could have, but I'm not going to. I'm so tired at this point. I'm casting all day.
Oh my god.
Alright, guys. Goofiness aside, we're about ready to go into this next map on Merry-Go-Round. We're just getting the players set up and the colors fixed. Coulter forced him into red. I don't know if you saw that right now. That's actually pretty cool. Where is Merry-Go-Round? 5 and 4. Nailed it. But okay, we're just about ready to go here. Don't you know there?
You said that so well. Don't you know?
Did you ever watch Bobby's World?
No. Some stupid Canadian thing. Jesus.
Wow, I don't even want to deal with you right now. Here we go, guys. Merry-Go-Round. See you in a sec. Welcome back to Copa America. Oops, I gotta hit that control in there real quick. Swapping this around. Now we're ready to go. A TVT to end the day, guys. It's the semifinals match. Both of these guys have already qualified, but they're playing for position and seeding and all these other wonderful things. So these games, they do matter. but both are qualified. I don't know if the players know this though, because it's worth noting every single day none of the players have known at which stage the qualifications like actually go through. So playing for their lives perhaps. Regardless, spotting the bottom left corner, bottom central portion rather, it's the blue Terran player from IVD Gaming, Ruff.
In the upper left as the red Terran, it is Jarppi.
Jarppi, as I looked up between games, is a Chilean Terran player from Renegades of Hell. It is worth noting, guys, he's also the first Terran to take a game off of Ruff today. In fact, the first person to take a game off of Ruff today. So, a pretty good start to this series. If he's not got confidence brimming through him right now, I don't know what would do.
The real question right now is, does Ruff say, man, you just slapped my shenanigans down? Do I play a normal game? No. The answer is no. Because Ruff, even if he's down a game, he's down a series, I've definitely watched him just do weird stuff anyways.
I know, he's kind of like, there's some players out there, and again, I'm not going to start name dropping like crazy, but like, there are some players out there who, they will play this, like they just don't give a flying F, you know, like they'll play the same way no matter what, they'll buckle down, they'll do their cheese, they'll play their macro, but then there's other players who get like really emotional about the series, like they lose game one, they'll lose the rest of them. So I mean, it's funny that Ruff is one of the very rare players who just never seems to go on tilt. He doesn't get ruffled in best of threes. But no, critically saying, he will just do whatever he was planning to do in the first place. There's nothing about losing game one that will impact him here.
Now, Ruff is changing it up, so while he hasn't, you know, it's not necessarily that he's not going to do any shenanigans yet, he is doing something different. Reaper, as opposed to the gas first, or I think we also saw just a regular 13 gas.
This map's not horrible for Reapers, but it's kind of similar to Habitation Station in the fact that there's only really a couple places you can get up, and they're both very predictable. They're both very shallow, so, I mean, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy. Ruff is making the second one, but it's not out of a second barracks, so sniping off the SV is a nice start, but this isn't like GG.
Yeah. So Ruff's doing a build that is a lot more, I mean, what he's done pretty much after the factory is when Ruff starts not getting common. But this is, you know, you get 2 Reapers, you get a command center, you go into Hellions just a little bit later, but a lot more economical as well. It's awkward. Yeah, I was gonna say Jarppi running into it, he was the one that got shot first, so
It's the real Han Solo situation. For those who have never actually had the wonderful pleasure, and I don't think I could put that in more sarcastic tone if I tried. Reaper fights are really horrible to deal with. The thing is though, well, typically whoever gets the first shot wins. High ground advantage becomes the most important thing regardless what number of shots you're on. So if your Reaper's got 1 health left, if it's 10 health left, if you've got the high ground advantage, you win the Reaper fight. But Ruff's got to be a little bit careful. Snipes off from Rain, which is a nice start, but here comes the Reaper from the side, gonna sideswipe him, and this is not one of those high ground situations. He does have to run for it.
yeah. Just to run away and try another day. With this build, it's not necessarily a hard counter. It's hard to find a hard counter in TVT. But if Ruff had been or if Jarppi rather had been doing for the 2-Rax Reaper, Ruff would be in trouble. You only get 2 Reapers, and then you gotta wait a long time to get those Hellions. As you can see, they're only now just coming out.
Yeah, that's the thing. 2-Rax Reaper actually is kind of just a counter build, like in general. Like unless they can match what you've done or stop you early, there's a lot of times where 2-Rax Reaper can end a game so much more efficiently than any other build.
Yeah, I'd say it's the one build that's kind of a hard counter. I mean, some people say that a Banshee Raven, or rather a Viking Raven opening is a hard counter to a Banshee Cloak, but I don't know. People usually scout it and they don't dedicate. But anyways, this Reaper scouts, it's an important scout, but it did die horribly. Is he going for... No, he's going for double factory Hellions reactor. It's a lot of Hellions.
I guess brute force is gonna be the aim of the game
yeah,
here.
like 4GG. I mean, 4GG was someone who he's kind of fallen off. Unfortunately, he's the European Korean that no one really remembers, especially with Joshi, you know, being a golden boy. But he loves Hellions at TVT, and his TVT win record is still insane.
Well, he's trading out so well here with the hit and run in the middle of the map. It's a good start. 4 Hellions at a time. I mean, like we've seen how effective Ruff's 2 Hellions at a time were in the past so far today. I can't imagine 4 Hellions is going to make it just sheer hell. I mean...
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that Ruff would have had to look out for was in case Jarppi was going for a Banshee. Lucky for him, Jarppi went for an Expand and is taking his sweet time getting up to a starport. Or using a starport as one. And then he was a scan. There was a scan both in the main and
This is really important actually coming up the ramp because he didn't know what angle to approach from if the Marines were lined up like that. But it takes a good start to the fight. Now there might be a Marauder out, guys, and Hellions don't deal bonus damage from a Marauder, but they still hit enough that if you got enough Hellions, the Marauder will go down. He's not even focused firing the low Hellion. There we go, changes that up. But this buys him enough time to run. There's not a full wall up at the top of the ramp, though.
Oh, the tank's gonna try. Oh, and he does throw down. Oh, and he blocks with the tank. I kind of like this. I mean, either way, if he's behind the Spotty Bow or not, it works. But surprisingly well held after what was a disastrous front line.
Yeah, third command star is made for Jarppi behind this too, so I mean he's got the potential to macro out of this. Maybe not initially now. But he's only lost 2 workers while this has been happening, worth noting.
Yeah, if you want to completely stop that attack that Ruff is doing, you know, any type of mass Hellion attack, you really need a bunker, and preferably some type of like wall, even a complete wall, but something to choke him in. The fact that he was just relying on a concave on the ramp and still is not good.
Oh man, that tank.
Jesus.
That tank's gonna help a little bit here, but as they get into the dead zone, as we see, Hellions can deal some damage. Unfortunately, the Marauders are actually being pretty effective here.
Yeah, he sacrifices some SCVs to make sure that the tank doesn't go down. Maybe he could have saved some more if he was really like 100% sure the tank would survive. I don't know. It's still not bad. Remember, he's still on 3 command centers. He has triple production.
If you know, there's not a lot to criticize for Ruff, but it is worth noting if he would spread his Hellions out, he probably wouldn't take so much damage running into the tanks like that. Because he has just been coming in balled and clumped 2 times in a row.
And again, the double starport behind this.
I kind of wish this would go on the factories and we just have like
triple.
6 Vikings at a time.
What would those do? You just have a mass air army that doesn't help you.
Well, no, you land them. I mean, let's be honest. If you land like 40 Vikings on top of tanks, those tanks are gonna die. I know it sounds like a joke, and it is a joke. You should not do that. Do not write this down as a build, but
don't do that.
Yeah, do not. I'm just saying it'd be funny to see though, because if there's one guy who's gonna pull something like that off, it's freaking Ruff.
I mean, unless you're like masters in bronze, then I suppose you could be a douche about it.
Well, no, I mean, real talk. Look at what he has. Like, obviously, he wouldn't have an army this small by the time 40 Vikings were accrued.
That's the whole thing is that 40 Vikings, he would have a maxed out army like the no way 40 Vikings win.
Whatever, Zombie Gum. I can wish it a good dream. Okay, well, the medevac's actually not going to get a lot done though, because there is going to be some Vikings in play. Again, well, actually, going for the Hellbats for now. Ooh, Hellbat drops we haven't seen for quite some time. He did scan this though, so this is all of a sudden Jarppi no longer moving full out and kind of contemplating like, should I dedicate to this?
Well, you leave your reinforcements behind at the bases and have a missile turret. Hey, if this guy was around in the beginning of the Heart of the Swarm, he has some, base knowledge as a Terran player how to deal with Hellbat drops. It's like our instinct or something.
I don't know.
Oh, you know what it is now? Is actually it's not going to be used so much for dropping on the SCV line, but on top
Tanks.
of the army.
Yeah. The Banshees coming out are going to be pretty nice for the time being. If you lose the barracks, it's going to suck.
Because he can't build any more factories, which, hey, he has 3 starports, so what does he need factories for?
Well, that, if he builds a command center, he can't make it an orbital either. So
That is something I never remember, but you're right.
I've had it happen to me, so that's the only reason I remember about it. So the barracks is slowly burning down over here. But I don't think Ruff's looking to go for that 3rd base anytime soon. It's not his MO. Walking up here to the front lines, we're going to have the drops come off the top of the tanks. They're not siege, though, but lots of damage is going to go out nonetheless. And the Hellbats, they don't need Blue Flame. Again, Hellbats hit for like 18 with no upgrades. It's pretty ridiculous. 20, I think, with 1. But still, with the Banshees pushing forward on top of this, there's just really not a lot of Marines, not a lot of anti-air.
Yeah, that's what the Hellbat's trying to do, take care of the Marines. But Jarppi took that engagement a lot better than you would probably see any other Terran take it. It's still desperate,
the drops, though. Oh, these drops, though. Never have I ever seen this be so effective with just Hellbats, but you're right, like a Viking would shut down the medevacs. It would send back the Banshees. He's kiting around right now, but he doesn't have a concussor shell, so he actually can't too effectively kite around the Hellbats.
That's a big deal, actually. I mean, part of the reason that when Hellbats are dropped, you can kite them back is because you have slow. This is a big deal. This bunker helping out. This bunker was here, I think, for the Hellbat dropped, and they're helping out against just the regular Hellbats.
Actually,
still, the problem with the Banshees is here.
Yeah. I mean, it shut down the Hellbats. Ruff's got to get these medevacs out alive. Like, he should not be sacrificing these. He had 1 Hellbat segment off over this way. 32 workers killed him at this point, though.
This 1 Hellbat is surviving so long, and there's more Banshees on the way. He needs a Thor. That is what he needs.
Oh, what Ruff needs to do is cloak, but he's got no cloak, so the Marines are actually doing a ton of damage to picking off another Banshee over there, but the Hellbat's still coming in strong, streaming across the map. Actually, Hellion stopped halfway through. We say reinforcements were on the way, past tense, but the natural's been cleared up. The 3rd base has been gutted. Actually, saved them. Nice pick up there out of Jarppi. Big salute
Saved
to that
some of
move.
He's still down by 14 workers. There was a Hellbat in this natural mineral line doing more damage than intended.
I know,
Oh,
right? Like, I wish this had like a damage meter so we could see just how much this one single Hellbat's done, but he's got 10 on him. He survived like 4 Marauders.
Jarppi pushes this back and again still has.
But at
triple
what
protection.
cost? He lost
At
the
what cost?
Yeah, and, well, there we go. Yeah, at what cost? No, but he lost so much to this. Now, granted, you're right. He held that really well to start, and I think a lot of other players wouldn't have taken that initial engagement as well. But down 46 workers. Granted, he's got 3 orbitals, but his supply is just kind of in the gutter right now, and it's all Marines again. Not even the Hellions or Hellbats. It should be Hellions again. I feel.
Yeah, because that is it's kind of the trick. Make him build Marines, deal with the Banshees, and then just go right back into Blue Flame Hellion.
Well, Blue Flame, whether it's the Hellbats or the Hellions, either way, going to do great against these Marines. We do have tanks coming out of Ruff now. It's just... It's weird to see him go for like a more reasonable composition after the fact, but I mean this is kind of the point of weirder builds, guys. Whether it's cheese, whether it's legit cheese, fake cheese, you countered me, so I'm counting it as cheese, Bronze League logic, whatever the case is. What Ruff does through this aggressive move is it gets him ahead. It doesn't win the game, but now he's ahead, and he can pursue the option to possibly win the game. He's going to be dropping Hellbats on top of the Marines again. Maybe a medevac or two is going to go down, but they're probably going to focus on the Banshees, which means the medevacs will get to unload, but not if they are hesitant like that.
I really feel like Jarppi, he doesn't have an armory. That's one reason. But a Thor would really help out this. You don't usually see a Thor with this composition, but I think it would help. Oh, gas geyser. He didn't deserve that.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Screw this one geyser in particular. But okay, so he's in a rough spot. He's got a couple things of his own coming out now. Granted, and an armory is finishing up soon, but I don't know that he can deal with this. The drops are gonna be too intense. We got the SCVs being pulled, but Ruff is just dropping on top of all the Marines with Blue Flame. He annihilates the army of Jarppi in a matter of seconds, and there's just not a lot left remaining. He picks up what little he has. He goes to the main, but the siege tanks are here. The base is gonna fall. This other one's actually saturated a little bit. Actually, can we give credit to the fact that Jarppi just salvaged that bunker? At this point in the game, you're so just running crazy ragged, you don't think to do things like that.
Yeah. You know, I don't think he's scanned in a while or scouted Ruff's side of the map, so never mind.
GG.
He realizes that it's over.
Alright, this actually evens up the series, though, and will send us to the ace match, which I am perfectly okay with between these two players. You know, you don't get a lot of TVTs that you can confidently say are, like, really, really entertaining, but... this has been a very strange series with very cool moves out of both players so far.
You got a funny tweet.
Okay, I'll have to check Twitter afterwards. I'm going to run to the break screen, though, guys, as we get closer to the end of the broadcast today. Thank you very much for tuning in. We're not done yet. We got one more game of Ruff versus Jarppi and possibly something else after. We don't know. We'll confirm it, but for now, Game 3 on the way.
I've been looking up on Google.
Can you keep it PC for the stream, please? Don't be inappropriate.
Food.
What have you been looking up on Google, Zombie Grub?
Food.
Pardon me?
Food.
Food?
Food.
Fud? F-U-D?
Food.
Fud. I like Fud. How about you? Fud from Homeland. Very delicious. Dubrachev. Alright, we should be back from ads, guys. Countdown's begun already, so we're not going to waste your time. Let's get into the intros, and we'll see you for the last game in just a moment. Welcome, welcome. This is game number 3, the ace match in this series between these two Grand Terran players. It's the semifinals match. Of course, the finals gets played out on the 30th. It is currently the 25th. I'm Rifkin. I'm casting all night with Zombie Grub. Hope you guys have enjoyed the cast so far. This could be the last one of the night, though. Spawning in the top right corner of Way Station in these appropriately decent spawn locations, it's the blue Terran player from IVD Gaming, Ruff. Woof. Woof.
The bottom left, as the red Terran, it is Jarppi. And, be back in like 2 minutes.
Okay. Jeez, thanks for just ditching me randomly, Zombie Grub. Nah, guys, it's cool. She told me she has to be right back real quick after the game started. Couldn't hold that off for much longer. But at any rate, this has been a very interesting series so far. We've seen anything but standard out of Ruff. You can classify it as cheesy. You can call it an all-in. You could throw it up to the definition of aggression. However you want to look at it, the bottom line is Ruff is a player who plays StarCraft2 different than most, and that's where a lot of his strengths lie. There's not a lot of players who can even mimic what he does. Like, you look at Ruff, you say, oh, 4 Hellions at a time? That's no problem to make. But it's not just that. It's his decision-making and how to use them, his choices to move forward in the game, and he's actually going to be going 2 Rax Reaper right now, which kind of sucks for Jarppi, who might just end up happening upon this. Sometimes when you see players do this, they'll actually put the second barracks down here. Granted, this is more of like a Wings of Liberty style of doing it, but I've seen a couple people do it since where you put the second barracks on the low ground. It's less likely to get scouted over here, plus you can lift up to the main with relative ease. However, will the SCV scout is going to be the big question. We referenced this a little bit earlier in the night, guys. The reason 2-Rax Reaper works is because the Reaper is a unit that snowballs really hardcore. There's a lot of locations you can get into this base with Reapers as well, which makes this map a really good map to do this on. But again, the key thing is that this is a move that snowballs both in and out of control very quickly. So if you get ahead, if you pick off 1 or 2 units very quickly with your Reapers, you will continue to stay ahead in a massive way with those Reapers. But if you lose even so much as 1 early on, you find yourself in a lot of trouble. Now, this SCV did not get to scout anything, sadly, and even though this SCV did not die, by the time Jarppi scouts this, he'll already be fully aware that this is 2-Rax Reaper. But this first one's going to hop up and 1 Reaper to start. Nothing too crazy. He'll pick off half the health of a Marine. He can't quite kill it when there's 2 around. No, he's going to hit and run and maybe get a little bit of extra HP there. But the idea, again, is you snowball out of control with this. The thing that makes this a little bit frustrating for both players is now that this is a game of predictions, a game of guessing. You know, you don't have the production because you're making this reactor. Once Hellions are out, you hold a lot easier, but he's actually going for a Widow Mine, which I'm not sure I love in this situation. Regardless, though, Ruff is going to find his way up this ramp with no opposition, be able to get on top of these Marines right away. First one goes down, second one about to die, and when that Widow Mine comes out, it's not even going to get a chance to burrow with 3 Reapers shooting it. 2 SCVs dying at a time. He's got to pull the SCVs into this. He pulls all the SCVs into this. The bunker gets canceled. Well, not canceled. cancel, but stalled. He doesn't get the build from it. Bottom line, SCV is being kited around like crazy right now. Quite frankly, even if this Widowmine gets the burrow, it's not going to stop the Reapers. Although if they're on top of it like this, it might. Goes for a hit. He spreads the Reapers immediately. Still 2 at a time coming across the map, up to 4, and there's not a single Hellion in sight. 2 Marines at a time, but this Widowmine gonna go down. Welcome back, Zombie Grub. GG is called. Congratulations, you missed the whole game. But back just in time to see Ruff absolutely lock this down. 2 Rax Reaper a little bit cheesy, but oftentimes a build order win, as you guys